You're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
Give me a full ballerina skirt and a hint of saloon, and I'm on board.
I can't go back.
Welcome to the She Became Visible podcast. I'm your host, Renee Steelman. This podcast is my story. It's your story. It's our story. It's all the stories of all the women who one day knew that it was time to remember who they were, who they are, and stand up and be seen.
Hello. Okay, I hope you can hear me. It's windy where I'm at, and I want to make sure that you're not getting blown away by the wind. So I'm just going to take my chances. I'm also trying this new portrait mode that's available on StreamYard and see if I like that. But today we're going to talk about something. This isn't going to be a long podcast, but we're going to talk about something. Hold on, I got to get it. I have to get my copy here. Okay, so today I went to the gym that I go to when we're in Utah, and I hired another trainer. I like working with a trainer. I like working individually, but I also like working with a trailer, especially if I think I'm not pushing myself enough. And when you're doing progressive loading, sometimes it's hard to push yourself. You know you should be adding weight, but you know it's going to be hard. And when you're in a public gym and you're working with a lot of other people that are wanting to use the equipment, you go to reach for the 25-pound weights and somebody else has got them and you're like, ah, crud. And that gets frustrating. So the joy of working with a trainer is that they take you, they have their equipment, and you don't have to fight with other people to use the equipment. So I thought, all right, fine. I love working by myself, but I'm going to go ahead and hire a trainer for the time that we're here in Utah. So one of the things when you meet with the new trainers, they want to do an evaluation, and I hate the in-body scans. And I'll tell you why I hate the in-body scans, because I have had them for years. I've been doing in-body scans, and I work really hard and I set a goal, but I don't see progress. And that gets discouraging, especially if there's some kind of a competition. And from all of my posts that I love F45. I love F45. I think I love F45 because when I joined in Scottsdale, the community that I joined at DC Ranch is amazing. It was just fabulous people, kind, generous, friendly. The community there is great, and I just loved the community. I've been to other F45s in other areas, and they're all nice. They're all fabulous, but there's just something special about the DC Ranch. And so I really loved F45. Plus, I thought it was a really great way of combining your cardio with your strength training. Well, I'm here to tell you that I think I'm getting a divorce from F45. I started working with my trainer in Arizona, Obey the Bolt, James, cannot love you more. And I started training for a fitness competition. And I found that I couldn't do that and F45 because I was going to get injured. It was just too much. F45 is a HIIT program. There's a lot of cardio. There's a lot of jumping up and down, jumping jacks, burpees, climbing on top of boxes, not climbing, jumping on top of boxes, and ropes and everything. Even when you're doing resistance training, it's quick, it's fast, it's cardio. And so when I was trying to mix that in with my strength training at the gym, I was getting injured. It was too much. And so I had to stop doing F45 and just do my cardio consisted of walking and the Stairmaster. And For a while, I tried to use F45 like a couple days a week, but even then I realized, you know what, I'm going to get hurt and that it wasn't worth it. So I kind of had to let it go. And I thought, now that I'm done with my bodybuilding training, I'll go back to F45. Well, I can't. I can't make myself go back because I really love working out in the gym. And I love the slowness and the intensity and the awareness of what you're doing. I love that so much. So, but I decided to get a trainer here in Utah because I knew that I needed to be doing progressive training and that I knew it was going to be hard. And I really also am conscious of my form. And that's one of the other things that I really like about having a trainer is they will make sure that you're doing your exercises correctly so that you don't get injured. And when you're my age, that's really important to not get injured. So I met my trainer this morning for the first time. And of course, he had to do an in-body scan. Have any of you ever done an in-body scan? They can either be encouraging or discouraging, but I want you to know what's happened. So I got on my in-body app and let me get back on it so I can share it with you. So the last time I did an in-body, and actually I was really like ticked off because I knew I was going to have to do an in-body scan today. And I was dreading it because the last time I did it, I was so discouraged. So let me tell you what happened. All right, when is this date? 8/18/2022. I weighed 143 pounds and I had my basal metabolic rate was 5. Let's see, wait, I can't read that. I can't see that. Let me go back to this one. Do. Okay, I can't even read this. Nope, not the same device. Okay, anyway, so 8/20/22, I was 143 pounds. Now, I stayed 143 pounds for the last almost 2 years. And then when I started cutting out F45 and just doing strength training, today when I went in, let me see if I can go back. Okay, I don't know how I got onto this little point thing, but I don't want to be on the point thing. I want to go back. There we go. Okay. Okay, so today when I went in, I did it 8/18, I was 143. On 10/02, I was 139. So I had lost a little bit of weight between October. Yeah, that was June, July, August. That was August of 2022. And then in October, I had basically lost a couple of pounds. I was down to basically 140. So it was 139.9. Then in July of 2023, I got down to 128. And then I was kind of stuck there. And today, in a year later, I am the exact same weight. Now, my entire life, I have been in the 140s. All through high school, I was in the 140s. And the highest I've ever gotten is during my pregnancies. And I usually gained about 35 pounds with my pregnancies. I would lose 20 pounds when the baby was born. And then I would have 15 pounds that just belonged to me. They were all mine. And so, but I have never been below 130. Even when I was running, when I started running 41 years ago, I got down to 19% body fat and I weighed 130. I would go between 130 and 133. And so I've never been below 130. When I did my competition, I was at 126, which is the lowest I've ever been. And honestly, I was too heavy for the competition, which is one of the bad things about the fitness competitions is you have to get your body fat down so low that you don't look good. But you're only there for the day, right? And it's kind of an interesting competitive sport because you are starving your body, your hormones get crazy, you get your body fat down to an unhealthy level, you go on stage, you compete, you win an award, you go out to eat, you gain your weight back in 2 days. So it's an interesting thing. And I didn't really want to get down because I knew at my age what, they at a certain age, like Tamra Judge, the infamous housewives of Orange County, said, after a certain age, you have to decide your face or your butt. And at my age, I'm more concerned about my face. I kind of want my butt too, but I did find out that you kind of just can't have it all when you're past 60 something. So anyway, so today I got on the InScan body and I was dreading it because I thought, oh crud, I've been pretty much eating what I want, but I track my macros. So when I say I eat what I want, I don't want a Big Mac and fries. I don't want um I don't know. I'm not really big into fast food. So it's not that I'm choosing not to eat that. I don't want that. Now I do like pizza. Pizza is probably the thing that I would go to if I could eat anything I want to, and I do. But since we've been to Utah, there are some fabulous ice cream places here in Utah, and they are made with real cream. They are homemade ice creams. They are so good, and I am enjoying them. In fact, last Saturday we went to Fremont Indian State Park, and we passed through Mount Pleasant, and there was a little family-run little drive-through, Wheelers, I think it was called, and their sign said something about shakes, and I said, "Stop, we're going there." And I got a cherry. Now, what they call a shake, I want you to know, is just basically a glass of ice cream, and it was the best ice cream I've ever had in my life. I got the cherry, and the maraschino cherries that were used in it, I'm sure they're not healthy, but it was the best ice cream I've ever had. And then on the way home, we stopped off at a place called Iceberg and got their ice cream. And I ordered the cherry because I was going to do a comparative, and it wasn't as good. But I'm not kidding you. I got the medium, and it was this big. It was Okay, I can't keep my paper. It was this big. It was literally that big. I actually opened up the door and scraped off half of it because it was just too much. And it wasn't that good. But the ice cream, you could tell it was real ice cream. And they also, both Wheelers and Iceberg, had the best French fries. So I'm eating what I want, but I'm also tracking my macros. And I really am aware of what I eat. So I think that makes a difference when people say, well, I eat whatever I want to. Well, what do you want? That's the big question. So anyway, so today, my percentage of body fat is 17%. Now, I am not that thin. I mean, I am not stage ready if I wanted to do a competition at all. I would have to lose probably 10 pounds. And if I did that, I would obviously see more muscle mass, but I would also, my face would get very gaunt and the whole bit. But I have lost body fat because I stopped doing cardio. And that is my message for you today, is for all of you people that are training for a marathon or a 5K, or, where we live in Arizona, there's a lot of people on bikes. And I get confused because I see people who are obviously obese, and they have decided that bike riding is going to be what they're going to do to lose weight and get in shape. And the answer is it's not. And their bodies are not built to be on those bicycles in the physical shape that they're in. And I just want to roll down my window and say, go for a walk and start strength training. That is the answer. The other thing is, when I was running all the time, like I said, I did get down to 130, but I did not have any muscle definition, and it did not change the shape of my body. If you want to change the shape of your body, you have to do strength training, and you have to use heavy weights. Now, all of you that are doing yoga, that is so great for flexibility and movement. And I have seen some pretty impressive bodies for people that do yoga. Yoga's not my jam. I'm too hyperactive. I want to keep moving. It's too slow. So it's just not for me. I don't enjoy it. But I love strength training. So my message here for you today is I am 70 years old and I have been active for 41 years. I must say, I started running when my fifth child was born. And I've told this story, but I'll tell it to you again. I was standing at the kitchen sink, of course. Where else would I be? I was standing at the kitchen sink and this neighbor ran by. And I looked at her through my kitchen window and I thought, well, holy crud. If she can run, I can run. And I went out and bought a Walkman. That's how long ago it was. And I started running. It took me a month to work up to a mile, another month, 2 miles, 3 miles, etc. And so I was running. And then I started going to Nautilus and I started doing step classes. And I loved the step classes because there was music and there was movement and I felt like I was dancing. But there again, it's cardio. And she did add some weights and at times we would do some weights. But it wasn't a progressive type of strength training. And that's all I've ever done. That's all I've ever done. So fortunately, I got an app a few years back called Fitbod. And I had purchased some free weights and I had them in my home when COVID hit. So I was able to do the Fitbod app while COVID was going on. So I actually started building muscle during COVID. And then I found F45 and then I found a trainer and then I decided I wanted to start doing competitions. So it's been a progressive thing, but I just want you to know that if any of you follow Chalene Johnson, please follow Chalene Johnson. I will put at Chalene Johnson. But she will tell you the exact same thing. She was the Beachbody lady. This girl has done it all. And she will tell you right now, she goes for a walk and she does strength training. And she is in her mid 50s and she looks fabulous. So that's what my thing is here about. She became visible. It's so important. You know, there's always going to be dietary trends going on, but you've got to use your common sense. If something sounds a little off, like don't eat any fruit, don't eat any vegetables, listen to your gut that says that just doesn't make sense to me. If I remember correctly, people on ships got scurvy because they didn't have any fruits or vegetables. So if you're going to just eat meat, are you going to get scurvy? I mean, I remember I actually went through a vegan stage. And I remember thinking at the time, because I went to a seminar and the lady that was running the seminar said, you know, B12 is really important and you're not going to get your B12 through your veggies. So you're going to have to take a supplement. You have to take a supplement or you will literally lose your mind. And so I remember going, well, then maybe I just raised my hand and I said, maybe we should just eat meat like once a week or twice a week. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, no, you know, but if you have to use a man-made supplement instead of using food, what is your gut telling you? What is your critical thinking skills telling you? That doesn't make sense. And I also remember when I was vegan, going through a store that advertised vegan shoes. And I thought, okay, so we went to the store and I'm looking at these shoes and I'm like, so what you mean is they're plastic. So you're using plastic. So I'm like, okay, so where does plastic come from? So we're using petroleum products, we're using chemicals, we're filling up landfills. How is this good for the environment? So, you know, there's always a choice. There's always a choice. And you guys do you. Everybody is different. Everybody has to decide what's good for them. I'm not a huge meat eater. I don't really like meat. I eat it because I keep track of my protein levels. But, you know, I would rather live on veggies and fruit. I would much rather, but I can't because my human body needs the amino acids and everything that I get from meat. And so that's just, I wanted to leave this message with you today. When we talk about becoming visible, it means to be the best version of yourself in every area of your life. And if you are letting your health go, in order to serve other people, in order to maybe constantly being in a situation where you're sitting at a desk, then maybe that's not the best version of yourself. And taking care of yourself doesn't have to mean adding things. Like you don't have to go out and do an hour of running or cardio and then go, oh, crud, now I have to do an hour of strength training. No, you don't. First of all, I get a lot of cardio just doing my strength training. I mean, I'm out of breath. I have to walk around and catch my breath in between sets. So I am doing some cardio. And going for a great walk feels so good. And I try to get my heartbeat up when I'm doing my walk. And sometimes I just don't have the energy, and my walk is a 20-minute mile. But usually I try to keep it at like a 15-minute mile. Just depends on the weather, depends on what I've eaten that day. So that's my message for you today, to choose yourself and think about everything, every area of your life. When you talk about taking back your life and looking at how you can be your best self, health is number one. So thank you for joining me today. And I was so relieved when I got my InBody today, because I was prepared, because every other time I've done it, I've always been so discouraged. But it really confirmed my testimony. I bear testimony to you today that strength training is the answer to aging gracefully. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.